Welcome everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Dean Layton. I'm a Senior Vice President with Bank of America, and I'm here to do a presentation on Forrest Gump the movie. I'm going to do some text mining and sentiment analysis on this particular movie. The first thing I'm going to show you is a package, and this package here, this SYUZHET, came from Stanford University. I'm a big fan of this one here. They have some of the best natural language processing people in the country. Who in the room uses R programming currently? One hand goes up, okay. Who in the room might use R in the future? A couple hands go up. Who in the room uses Python? Okay. Before I got to this point, the reason I did this as a work exercise, where I work at the bank, we used to listen to phone calls of customers calling in. And we get a lot of phone calls every month. They told me we're going to start taking the digital recording and we're going to turn it to text. So what my responsibility was going to be as an R programmer was to write some R code to text mine that, okay? So I had the bright idea, instead of waiting on data, I went to the internet, Googled the Forrest Gump movie, downloaded it as a text file, then I used that wonderful language called SAS, S-A-S, and I split the data into 4 Excel spreadsheets because the actors' names were in 38, the lines they spoke started in 1. So in SAS, I could write a simple, and I know nobody, who writes SAS programming in here? Anybody? Nobody, okay, I do, but it's a real simple data step. I wrote a simple program, wrote two input statements, wrote 4 data sets out. At the end, I exported Excel, and that's where this program is getting ready to start. I'm going to bring in an Excel spreadsheet with Forrest information in it. But here is some packages that I have. You can see up here at the top, this tidy text. This is, even though it says library, these are packages in R. This tidy text is one of the most powerful text mining tools available. Tidy R is a really great one. Read Excel allows me to import Excel spreadsheets. TM is an older one for text mining. Snowball is for stemming. And what stemming is, in banking, if you have the word fee and fees, it'll drop it back to fee, the base word. I don't like to use stemming, but I include it as one of my packages. Word cloud. Word cloud is a visualization technique. People in marketing and management love word clouds. R Color Brewster gives you all kinds of cool colors in your graphs. QDAP allows me to do n-grams equals 2. What n-grams are is how you combine words. When you parse or tokenize people's sentences or paragraphs, you take pairs of words. Typically, n-grams equals 2 is the first word, second word, third word. Do you understand that term? You're parsing the data out in 2-word phrases. That's what n-grams equals 2 is. dplyr is probably one of the greatest packages ever written in R. SAS7 BDAT. Since I'm a SAS programmer where I work, there's 4,000 SAS programmers at B of A. Yes, sir?
You said dplyr is probably one of the best. What does it do?
It's for wrangling the data, bringing data in and cleansing the data. This Excel X writes Excel out. And then this is the package from Stanford University. Even though I included all these packages in my live statement here, I'm really only using this one to read it in and that one to process the data. Any questions on that? Okay. To quote Will Smith, are y'all jiggy with that? Yes? Okay, good. All right, let's move on. All right, so let's go to the next slide. All right, so now what we have here, I told you we have a Forrest Excel spreadsheet. So in R, we're going to read this Forrest Excel spreadsheet. We're going to create something called a data frame. A data frame in R is just a table. So what's happening is we're going to read spreadsheet Forrest in. It only has one column called text 1. So it creates a data frame here. This command here is a nice command. It's just structure. It tells me it's a data frame. This statement here says get sentences. It takes the whole, every line that Forrest spoke in the movie. There happen to be about, I think it's like 1,217 lines, sentences, and it puts them in SV. So at that point, I split up every sentence that Forrest spoke in the movie in this variable SV. Then I do this get sentiment. Now what is sentiment? That is the emotions of each sentence. And what we do there, we use a lexicon. A lexicon is a dictionary that has words that has a score next to it. And the scores will either be negative or positive, depending on what the word is. Like the word kill might have like a -5, but love might have a +5. Does that make sense? So, and then we're just going to do a plot. We're going to plot Forrest's emotions for the whole movie. So let's look at what Forrest looked like for the whole movie. Boom. What can you tell me about Forrest Gump as you look across this graph?
He's bipolar?
No, he's not bipolar. He's pretty happy. All right. Hold your answer. Let's look at Jenny. And Jenny had a little bit of alcohol, drugs, and had boyfriend problems. Let's look at Jenny next, okay? Here's Jenny. Now Jenny's spikes are a little bit deeper, right? She's bipolar. Or as we say in business, senior management, right? Yes, we see the pattern here, right? So that's Jenny. Let's look at Lieutenant Dan. What can we say about Lieutenant Dan? What can we say right about what's happening with Lieutenant Dan right about here? What's going on right there? Blew his legs off. Vietnam War's going on, right? Yeah, he's got a bad patch of stuff going on, right? But now what's happening way over here? What's happening right here at the end of the movie? He's happy, right? This looks like a lot like my customers that call the bank. They call you up. They say, hey, I'm pretty happy. What the heck did you do to my account? Then we try to get some resolution, right? And hopefully at the end they're happy, right? Now let's look at Bubba. What's Bubba look like? Look at Bubba. Now, think of these 4 people as customers or segments. Who's the happiest? Bubba is, right?
Does he die super early though?
No, that's okay. Hold your thought there. Who would you not spend money on? Bubba. And not because he's dead, because he's the happiest. And you can see that, right? You can see that. Now, I will tell you, when you do sentiment, if you do it at the sentence level, it's better than doing it at the paragraph level, because the more words you have, the more diluted the sentiment will get with the words. Does that make sense a little bit? Okay, so you understand this a little bit, what we did. Okay, let's go a little bit further. All right, now, what I said earlier, we have lexicons. So these methods here are different lexicons. A thin are words that go from -5 to 5, okay? Bing goes, I think, from -2 to 2. This one is NRC one, and this one are very similar. They're almost identical. But this one here I really, really, really like. You might ask me, why do I like it?
Why do you like it?
Okay, I like this one, thank you, because it gives you 10 scores. 10 scores. It gives you polarity, which is negative and positive, okay? It also gives you your 8 emotions. Things like anger, happy, anticipation, surprise. It gives you all your 8 emotion scores. So, and I'll show you that in a second, okay? So what you can do is, you can actually, what we're doing here is we're getting the sentiment for Forrest 4 different ways here. And then this command right here, we're doing that Madonna thing. You know how she did that Vogue thing where she stacked stuff like this? You know, it's been a while, right? But we're row binding there in R, okay? We're stacking, that's called concatenation, okay? Just so you know that part. But we're gonna do that so we can see what the scores are. We stack them over top of each other. So let's go forward a little bit. So we can see in that first one at the top here, we got, and it's only doing head, so it's only doing the first 6 rows of the movie. It's showing you that the first 6 sentences that Forrest spoke here, you got a 0, 0, a 0.6, a 0.6, a 0, 0. When it did the Bing command, it was all zeros. It was very neutral. Do you understand that, kind of looking at it? This one here was 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 0. It's very similar to that, okay? This one here was 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0. Now when you stack it, for some reason it rounded this. I don't know why it did that, but it rounded it up. Do you see when it did that? So don't worry about that too much, but you can actually stack this a little bit. All right, I'm gonna go forward a slide. Now, you can actually do this, which I think is pretty amazing. And these are mathematical formulas. You can do a sum, a mean, or summary on the whole movie for Forrest. So let's see what that looks like. So you could take like the one method, and you might ask yourself, why would I do this? Well, let's pretend this is not a movie, but this might be emails, right? And maybe you got 1,000 or 1,000,000 emails. You might want to score them this way and then go back and rank order them to look at which ones have a negative sentiment or low scores or high scores. You might want to show your boss the high score ones, right? And then you might want to show your department the low score ones, fix them. Does it make sense?
So,
Yes, sir.
so get sentiment. Is it more about trying to understand the emotion behind the words that people use?
Yes.
Okay, so I guess besides phone calls and emails, are there other applications for this? Maybe like, I don't know, releasing PR stuff about your company?
Well, that's a great point. I'm going to show you some slides in a few minutes. We hired an intern a few years back, and I'm going to show you sometimes it behooves you not to know anything about your data. We hired a young intern, and I'm going to show you when we go through some standard steps they teach you on the internet. One of the things is you scrub numbers out of your data, right? Remove numbers, and he didn't. And one of the things that the customers were complaining about, we were looking for patterns in the data, was some exec wanted to put $5 on everybody that did an ATM transaction, right? And people were calling in and closing their accounts, and we didn't implement that policy, but it got out on the street, and when he did his word cloud, this 5 showed up like really big, right? But if he'd have scrubbed out the numbers, we'd have never saw it. So sometimes it behooves you to kind of leave some things out, let it show you things, and then remove things. And that's one reason I don't do stemming. I want to see all the ways it spells a word. Does it make sense a little bit? And then I can clean it up later. But you made a good point, sir. Give me a second. Let me go a little further here. All right. This NRC, I mentioned 8 emotions you can see. This is the way I could write out, these are Forrest's anger sentences. 3 lines of code, I can write out all the sentences that say he's angry. Now, these might give you some false positives, okay? And what we could have done with one additional line, we could have wrote these out to Excel. You guys okay with that? All right. Here's his joy sentence. I didn't create, he had more joy sentences than here, but it ran off the slide. So but you can see a lot of things like ice cream, Bubba was my best friend, I love you. These are definitely joy sentences, okay? You can see that it grabs these pretty easy, okay? All right, now this is going to do a bar chart. These are the 8 emotions we talked about NRC gives you. And these are Forrest's. So most of the things that Forrest talked about with his sentences were trust, anticipation, joy, surprise, fear, a little bit of anger, a little bit of sadness, very much disgust. That's the last one. He didn't have very many things he's disgusted with, okay? So that's how Forrest kind of graded out. Any questions on that? Yes?
Maybe this is more about the package you're using, but how does it know like the difference in a sentence when someone says like, I will murder you versus like, the murder of Captain would be the death of me? Like,
Okay, well, the point you're making, let me say something. It doesn't do well with sarcasm. Okay, like Jeff Dunham, you know, he says stuff all the time in comedy. There's a point when we did Forrest's by sentence, the longest spike for Forrest turned out to be the scene where he's in Washington, D.C., and there's a guy at the podium in a American flag shirt saying a bunch of F-bombs, and Forrest is telling you what the guy's saying. It wasn't Forrest saying it, he's just repeating what the guy was saying. He goes, that guy's really angry, he's saying a bunch of F-bombs. And Forrest is telling you what's happening, but Forrest is not mad, the guys at the podium's mad. And then a second later, he sees Jenny, and his spike goes way up here, okay? So that's really a false positive, but what happens is, if you look at those spikes in Forrest's trajectory, you'll see where Bubba died, you can see where Jenny died, you can see where his mother died, and that one there, that was the biggest spike, was a false. You understand what I'm saying? So to your point, these gives you points in the conversation to go look at, but you have to do more research. Does that make sense? So it's not exact science. You got to go. This gives you points to look at, or emails to look at first, maybe. Does that make sense? It's not 100%. Okay, so this is going to tell you the polarity. It's positive, negative, and as you guys said earlier, the man that said bipolar on Forrest was wrong, but Forrest was 75% positive, only 25% negative. Okay. So now, this is something I do all the time with banking data. I love creating word clouds. A word cloud with one word doesn't tell me a whole lot. But word cloud with two words, n-grams equals 2, tell me a lot in banking. NSF fee, overdraft fee, things like that. Let's see what it tells us with the Forrest Gump movie. Again, I'm using the same package we used before. I'm bringing in the same data set, so nothing changes here, okay? Now, this is the way I was taught to bring in the data. And it's a little bit cumbersome here, but you can see that what I'm doing is I create a corpus. A corpus just means a collection of data. And then to lowercase is the data. Why would you do that?
So you don't end up with different word cloud or treating different capitalization as different
Right.
words.
Yeah, the word in the beginning of the sentence, the word in the middle of the sentence. The next thing I do is I remove numbers. Why do I remove punctuation?
It's not relevant. You don't want much punctuation show up in your word cloud usually.
Well, the word's on the end. The word's on the end of the sentence, right? Okay, so you remove punctuation. What does remove stop words do? Any ideas?
You told me this morning.
Words that don't have much.
Don't have meaning. And the things that you don't care about, okay? And you could build a custom stop word list, depending on where you work, okay? All right, and then what does white space do? Once you remove those stop words, you have a lot of white space between your words, so it puts all the words back together. Does it make sense? Okay. All right, now there's a bunch of stuff going on here, but basically the main line of this is right here where n equals 2. I'm doing some stuff here like I'm just giving some additional stop words to remove here. And then down here a little ways, I'm doing background equals black, and this is my word cloud, and I'm doing random color true, Brewster, that thing I was dark 2, maximum 38 words. So if I do that, I get this nice word cloud, and the biggest word that Forrest said, of course, was Lieutenant Dan. He said it 34 times in the movie. Okay? No big surprise there, right? And he said Forrest Gump a lot, right? So those are the main words Forrest said. Now, I'm going to flash up another word cloud. Whoever guesses who says this one gets $1 from me next, okay? So pay attention, okay? Whoever gets this one next right gets $1. Who said that? Right there, you get $1. Okay, $1. I owe you $1, okay? That's how'd you know it was Bubba? Hey Forrest. And he's Benjamin Buford, shrimp and business, shrimp and boat, potato shrimp, that's Bubba. So he knew that was Bubba, okay? So this is what Bubba said. Now, the code put an underscore between the two words. It makes it easier to read. That's what I did with the code, just so you see that. Okay, this is kind of cool. The marketing people love this goofy this stuff here, I should say. You can do this word cloud too, and what it'll do is put the word cloud on a shape. And where I work, I'll do like a llama spitting out words. It has a llama head and the words coming out of it like spit. and then I'll do like a bull for Merrill Lynch, or I'll do a rocket ship for Rocket Mortgage or something like, which is not our company, but, and then I'll do like a car for like Dealer Financial Services. So this will make this shape like, like this is a star, right? I did some data. It's a word cloud, kind of like show like a shape of a star, a circle, sort of like a heart, a right triangle they call it, a triangle. So that marketing people love this stuff, okay? Don't ask me why. We don't do a lot of drug testing after you get hired, okay? All right, now, this here, okay, you'll like this. This is using lexicon Bing. I mentioned earlier, one of the lexicons. Okay, so again, we're going to bring Forrest in, and I think this is going to do a comparison word cloud. Yes, okay, so a little bit different style here. We're bringing in Forrest right here. We're doing on-ness token. Text one is the spreadsheet, okay, from the data frame right here. Word is the output. Now, this is kind of cool. This is kind of like that dplyr thing we mentioned earlier, that package. This is using tidy text. And what it does, this is almost like a SQL A not B logic. So what it's doing, it does take this Forrest words here, anti-join the stop words there. So now you got Forrest, no stop words. So basically it's A not B. I don't want any stop words in Forrest, no stop words. You see that? It's a little cleaner. Write the code that way. No habla español. Inglés. Okay, good. Everybody good?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Are you saying that up until this point you hadn't stripped stop words from all those other clouds?
I did, but I did it a long way. This is shorthand. This is a newer way of doing it. But the problem with this way, it's really shorthand. You don't see all the steps I went through to get there. This is a much cleaner way of doing it. Okay? Now, this one here, Forrest Bing words. Now we're doing an inner join to Bing. So now what are we adding to the data?
Emotional data.
Sentiment.
Sentiment data,
Yeah, exactly. And what methodology or lexicon are we using? Bing, right. So now we're using Bing, and we're going to count the words, and we're going to sort true, mutate method Bing. So let's see what this does for us. Can you wait? Okay, wait. All right. Okay, now we're gonna do a reshape thing, and we're kind of doing all this fancy. This is what we call a comparison word cloud. You see this word here? Comparison right here. Comparison word cloud. You saw word cloud earlier, but what's a comparison word cloud? All right, show us, Dean. Okay, so we got negative and positive. The negative words are darker than the positive words. Can I get an ooh-ah? That's kind of neat, isn't it? And we could have changed those colors to be kind of cooler too. We could have went red, blue, or something. And you know, one thing, I mean, I thought that was kind of cool, but it's only single words, okay? All right. I think that's kind of neat. And you can see those negative words are really died, stupid. I don't know how funny is a negative word, to be honest with you, but hurt is definitely one. Mistake, crowded, crippled, confused. Cancer is a bad word, I think. You know, awful, cold, die. Those are definitely bad words, right? Lie, sick. And then beautiful, heaven, pretty, fast, hero. Those are great words. Yes, no? Anybody want to buy a vowel? You good with that? Yes?
What about when Forrest says, I'm not a smart man?
I'm not a smart man. Well, that's like, well, I'm not a smart man. I'm not. Well, that goes, yeah, yeah, he said that, but I don't know how you rate that one. Forrest is one of my heroes. You know, like he lived a wonderful life, right? It's a great story of a person who has a few friends and had such a wonderful adventure, right? Never gave up. That's a great line. I don't know how to rank that one, to be honest with you. All right. How many ways did Bubba say shrimp? Okay. That's important. Now, I want to tell you, a friend of mine at the bank works for the FBI a lot, okay? And even though I'm doing this for Bubba saying shrimp, and I know the movie, I want you to think about your business or whatever you do. if you can figure out, we know what stop words are, words we don't care about, right? Well, what's a start word? Well, shrimp in this case, that's right. It's an S word, it got me that one, start, shrimp is a start word. Yeah, but there might be other words you care about, right? So a friend of mine works at the FBI, and what we're going to do, you remember how you mentioned those lexicons earlier? It puts a score on the documents. We're going to build a custom lexicon. We're going to figure out what bad people that the FBI is after. Once we figure out who they are in our data, we're going to figure out what words they use that nobody else uses, okay? We're going to build a custom lexicon. We're going to scan all these documents. We hit those words, we're going to bring those documents to the top and turn them over to the FBI. Does that make sense? And where you work, there's probably similar words. At Citibank, I got some friends that work at Citibank. Well, I have a few friends at Citibank. But over there, they look for cuss words. They might say, why do they look for cuss words at Citibank? They say if somebody swears when they're in an email or on a conversation, they're 15% more likely to close their account. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that makes sense. So maybe but you got to convince your boss, can I put these words in my document, Okay, so these are our standard libraries, right? Is anybody intimidated that R has maybe 12,000 libraries now or packages? Because I've been doing R since 2014. I use about 30 or 40 packages total. That's just a number. Don't let the number R packages scare you from learning R. Okay? Yes, sir.
Is 90% of it, so it looks like 90% of what you're doing is gluing together existing packages. Is that,
Well,
I'm not saying that's not valuable, I'm just asking if that's accurate.
well, here's the truth. Tidy Text, that came out in 2016, replaces almost all of these. It combines almost everything I'm doing here with one, okay? So keep that in mind. I mean, it combines a lot of what I did here. So, and also, at where I work, people use R against Hadoop. They use R against Teradata. They could do R against SQL Server. So whatever data you have, R can get it. Okay, now we're doing stuff with Bubba. So the only thing that changes here is we're going to get Bubba, and he's in Excel, and Sheets Bubba. I probably should have said this DF Excel. This DF Excel should have been probably DF Bubba. I just called it DF Excel. The text field is, this is a data frame thing. DF Excel is here. The column is $text is how you define it in R. Here's what I'm doing kind of cool here. You remember how we did the on-nest tokens here? This is doing a bigrams, where before we did the word text, this is going to do n equals 2 here. This thing here is going to create 2-word phrases for Bubba. Y'all see that? Okay, cool. All right. And then, what we're doing here, okay, we're bringing in word 1 and word 2. What's this filter thing doing right here? It's saying not word 1 in stop word, word 2 not in stop word. What is that doing?
Neither is the left nor the right word in your pair are in the stop words.
Correct. Okay, cool. And then we're kind of sorting them together. We're doing a union back in here, putting them back together, and then we're verifying it. Sorry, let me go back forward. Sorry. Then right here, we're kind of verifying word 1 is shrimp or word 2 is shrimp. And if I go over here, here's how many different ways he used the word shrimp. Now, this is the point the gentleman made earlier. This tells me where to use the word shrimp, but it also tells me where to go back into the document and look for these words, because he actually talked about cooking shrimp, but he didn't use the word shrimp like he did like stir fry and some other stuff. He knew other ways to process shrimp that didn't use the word shrimp. You understand what I'm saying? So these were the 15 ways he used the word shrimp as the first word. Does that make sense? Yeah. So there was other ways, but this gives you like a good point to where the data is. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. All right. Then let's see. What am I doing here? Oh, I did this slightly different. What I also did here is I did a simple word cloud right here. I think. Let me see. Right here. I wanted to verify what, these are basically a single word cloud. The word that Forrest, or Bubba said the most is just the word shrimp, right? Forrest was the second word. He dropped his G, which is a southern habit we have. Fish and hunt and shrimp, like we drop the G's, type deal. So that's pretty standard. All right, this is how you catch bad people right here. This function right here. Have y'all ever seen this TF IDF? You have? Have you ever used it?
Yeah.
Okay. Can I ask how you use it? Or is it proprietary?
It might have been. It was a, what's it called, like research project. Didn't make it into production, but yeah.
Okay. Well, I discovered this recently, and I think it's really cool. But what it does, I'm going to show you how I used it here. I'm getting ready to compare Forrest and Lieutenant Dan, okay? So what we're going to do, these are our standard libraries, and I'm bringing in Forrest, Lieutenant Dan. So now we got Lieutenant Dan's data coming in here, right? So no big deal. And we're going to do two-word phrases. Everybody okay with that? Yeah. All right, so far so good? All right, we're doing the exact same thing we'd kind of do with Bubba, except we're not looking for shrimp. We're just bringing the words in, and we're removing stop words, and we're filtering some data, and I'm doing some funky stuff right about here, where I'm putting the author Forrest and Lieutenant Dan. I'm putting next to their data, I'm putting their name, right? Forrest and Lieutenant Dan. And then I'm doing this row bind thing. I'm getting ready to do that Madonna thing again like this, but I'll have their names next to their data, okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that function right there. Do y'all see that? Bigrams author n. And it's going to do this arrange descending TF IDF. So what it's going to do, it's going to show me, which I think is really amazing, it's going to show me sayings that Forrest would say that Lieutenant Dan wouldn't. It's going to show me sayings that Lieutenant Dan would say that Forrest wouldn't. Now, why would you think that'd be useful, say, in a criminal thing?
Compare criminals to non-criminals?
Right. Bad people versus good people. They might say something that we'll pick up. That's how I think it'll work. Okay, so we got that going on. So let's see what happens. And you'll definitely see Lieutenant Dan says some words that Forrest would never say. I'll just say it like that. I'll just leave. Let's see if we can figure some of these words out. So Forrest says ping pong, play ping, drill sergeant, Bubba Gump. He says Lieutenant Dan, ice cream. Lieutenant Dan definitely didn't like his ice cream. You remember that? He threw it in the pan there. But over here, Lieutenant Dan has some really bad words, right down here. So but this is kind of cool. I really like the way this works. Did y'all see recently where they were debating between the Beatles, who wrote a song? Did you see that? Between Paul and John? They had a song, they couldn't figure out who wrote the song. But if you have letters or some sort of documents they wrote, you could build sort of like a lexicon and bounce it against the song and probably do like a correlation and figure out who more likely wrote the song. Does that make sense? Okay, good. Okay. Some of you are getting that. That's good. All right. Here's some resources that really helped me in our blogger that I go to every day at work. Coursera has a great Johns Hopkins program. Does anybody take any classes through Johns Hopkins? No? Okay, maybe somebody. EDX, or is it EDU? I think it's EDX. EDX has one that you do with Microsoft that I got R certified through Microsoft for this one here. At Bank of America, we have Safari Books Online, which is free. I don't know if your company does. We have our user group at my company. We have 220, I think, R programmers. I'm president of the group. UNF, which is 10 miles down the road here, we had SQL Saturday in 2014. That's where I learned about R Studio. Coded on the Beach, I mentioned, Coded on the Sea here. Yes, sir.
SQL Saturday, is that like every Saturday?
No. It's once a year. Every Saturday, once a year. Google, of course, stackoverflow.com, O'Reilly. There's also a great book. I have it. It's called Text Mining with R. It is written by two people that used to work at stackoverflow.com, Dr. Dave Robinson. It's a really great book, and I don't really DataCamp's pretty good too, but I haven't really used them much. I want to go back in the slides. Let me go back a ways. I'm going to go back to the beginning. I want to show you something really quick that I mentioned to you earlier. I didn't think we'd get this far so fast. Right here. All right, I want to show you this point right here. Right here, you see this low point right here? I mentioned earlier. That's where the guy was in Washington, D.C. with all the F-bombs in the American flag shirt. And then a few seconds later, this is Jenny running across the pond by the Lincoln Memorial. So you can find this point in the document, and you can quickly find that point of happiness. So I think that's kind of cool. So, and this was really easy to do. You saw it wasn't very much code. Now, the other things that you can do beyond what I did here, which was basically, sentiment analysis and some basic, that TF, IDF. You can do topic modeling, but topic modeling is more challenging. And the reason being is sometimes you might have 1 million emails, and you got to say you want 20 topics, okay? If you pick too many topics or too little, it dilutes your data. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm working with an intern that's leaving to go back to college. What she did, which I thought was pretty cool, where you do this n-grams equals 2, you split your data up in 2-word phrases. She built that out as data, and then she topic modeled that. And I thought that was pretty ingenious. Does that make sense a little bit? Yes, sir.
What do you mean by topic model?
Well, what happens is you take the data. In our world, you say, here's a bunch of data, and you tell it, I want 20 topics. And in my case, Art might come back in banking and say, the word might be credit, and over here might be the word card, debit, card, and some other things, okay? And what this lady was able to show us, because she put 2 words together, credit card was together, debit card was together, and her topics kind of made sense, okay? And then some other things might be like these attributes are probably fee related in banking or whatever industry you're doing, okay? So you let the data tell you the topic. Does that make sense? Yes, sir.
So topics are like grouping?
Yeah, groups of data.
Group data together.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. What I asked earlier, if anybody did any SAS programming, it's like a reverse proc format. Like, so, or like a group by in SQL. Here's my group. How do I take all this data and put it in a group? It kind of tells you what the group should be. Does it make sense? A little bit? Okay. Do y'all have any questions? Yes.
Where do you get your lexicons?
Well, they come with, well, they're within the package, like tidy text, you get them automatically free. And in fact, what you can do is you just type, when you do library tidy text, you can actually put the lexicon name and it'll display all the, let me say this, the lexicons are unigram. So when you say offend, it'll list out in alphabetical order the word and the value, I believe. So you can display them right in R. So you get them automatically once you put the live name up. And then what you can do if you want to build your own, you can build a vector in R, or build you a data frame. You can build your own. I haven't done it yet, but I will. Yes, sir.
I apologize, I missed it, but which topic modeling algorithm did you go with, and why did you choose it?
Well, I didn't do one here.
Oh, okay.
But typically, when I do R, the one I kind of do use sometimes is topic models is a package I use.
Yeah.
Where I use Mallet as well.
The one slide you had that showed all of the word phrasings, was that not grouping notes and topic modeling?
No, what a lot of things I was doing there, and what I find a good benefit, I was doing a lot of n-grams equals 2 type logic, and then I did a function tf underscore idf is what I did, and then I did a breakdown between, I did a comparison between Forrest and Lieutenant Dan's words. That's what I did. Yes, sir. Any questions? Now, one question I get asked a lot on R, a lot of people say, well, R is Windows, right? Windows space. But in our company, I still run R on Windows, but I also have a server version called R Studio Pro. So if data gets big, we can run it on a server. So we're not limited by space.
Actually, use R on the Mac.
Use R on Mac, okay. All right, that concludes my presentation. Hope you learned something. If you have any questions, I'll be around. Feel free to contact me if you have any questions. Thank you.